Anybody changing the angle? Do I need to tweak the angle a little bit up here? Guys, I'm delighted. Great friend of mine and someone I've known for a long time. And firstly, I just want to say that you've traveled down, and I'm very grateful that you've gone out of your way to be here today to share your experience and knowledge. I know a lot of you will be familiar with who Kuba is. I've got a lot of respect for you, a lot of respect for what you've achieved in competitive world, in business, and as a coach. And you are proof that you can do it all. And for me, that's something that's very dear to my heart, that I shouldn't have to give things up to have everything that I want. And so guys, I mean, please join me in just welcoming Kuba. And Meg. Hello. Now, this is really important for me to bring a coach that I highly respect to talk to you guys, because Kuba's risen to the ranks in professional bodybuilding, built extremely successful gym and community, more importantly than just a gym, because there's a big community there, and obviously with your coaching. So I tell you what, I know we're going to go in, unpack all this, but let's talk bodybuilding. Let's just talk about that, because there's a lot of people in here, a lot of passion around bodybuilding. How did that all start?
So, I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I'll tell you one thing that I'll remember for the rest of my life is one of my teachers, when I was 15, I just stopped boxing and I literally just got into bodybuilding. And from that age, it was tunnel vision, where teachers were ringing my mum and there was literally saying, he's not interested in anything else apart from what he needs to eat, when he needs to eat, and what time he's going to train. And that was one of my French teachers. So I actually competed when I was 16, my first show. And to me, bodybuilding came pretty easy to manage, because I already had background with boxing at high level. So I was already under a lot of influence from a lot of coaches and athletes around me. So I was taught from a young age how to work, and more importantly, what it takes to commit at the highest level. Now, I've still got a little cutout from a piece of newspaper article. And even back then, when I was 11, 12, 13 years old, the coach literally said that I lived and breathed it. I was in the gym every single day. And when the gym was closed, that was the only times when I wasn't happy. So it was harder to actually keep me out of the gym and keep me in school than anything else. So as soon as I transitioned into bodybuilding, and that kind of fire, that passion, swayed into bodybuilding and all that it takes, there was no turning back. It was all in from that very moment, from a very young age. And as you can imagine, my parents, there wasn't taken back in a way where they looked at it as a negative thing, because they saw the work I was putting in. And when they saw the commitment, the work I was putting in from such a young age, they let me be. Even, with the stuff that we have to do as part of bodybuilding, as you can imagine, most parents would be petrified of son doing stuff like this, but that wasn't the case, because they saw what I wanted and they saw how much it meant to me.
I love that. Let's just have a look at this for a second, because a lot of you here will probably be thinking, how am I going to stay in shape, run my business, have clients, something's got to give, something's got to sacrifice. Just give us an understanding, MK, your relationship, the businesses you got, what is this portfolio that you have now? It comprises of bodybuilding. What else is in it? How many clients do you got right now with MK? What is MK? How many coaches? What's the enormity of what you've got to run every day? That's a great starting point for us, just so everybody can understand what you juggle.
So at the moment, it's not just coaching. We've got a housing business, so we actually rent houses out now.
Yeah.
But we've got a gym going now that has been running since 2017. So I actually opened a gym quite early on, and that has been quite successful now. So it's a coaching business.
How many members are at the gym now?
Just over 1,000 now.
Yeah, wow.
Loyal members, and a lot of people actually move down for the gym, so that makes it even better. Now, we're the coaching business. There's myself, Meg, and Charlotte now, and we are actually working with around 250 people at the moment. And look, I'm always going to be very honest. Like, it's not like it's a secret. It's not like we're trying to hide the client numbers, because these are numbers that I'm extremely comfortable with. I could take on a lot more if I wanted to in terms of client numbers, but Is it what I want? Not necessarily, because I stand to actually be able to deliver a service. Now, we've got the gym, we've got the coaching, we've got the housing business, and I've just recently invested into Nitron gym equipment. And there is a second gym on the pipeline going at the moment as well. So we do have a lot going on, but it can be managed, and I know it can be managed without any aspects of my life getting put on the back burner. I will admit it's hard, and I'm very lucky to have Meg by my side, because I can tell you now, I don't think I would be able to go out or have a relationship with any female that is not as driven as she is, because they would not be able to understand what it takes. They won't be able to understand it. And I don't think they would be able to give me the level of support that she does as well, across all areas, because I'm not just a one-man ship. I've got Meg, I've got Charlotte, I've obviously got the girls that help me out with the gym. So it's a team effort. It's not just me that's running everything, but that doesn't mean I don't do a lot. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of commitment. So days like this can be managed, where I get out of my comfort zone, get out of my shed and travel. But you don't see me do this very often for a reason. I don't socialize much. I don't have much time for anything but business, but that's what I love, that's my passion. And anyone that's looking to excel in life and do anything that's worth of achieving, you're not gonna have much balance, because I know I don't have balance. However, I'm happy living this sort of life right now, because I have set goals that I really wanna achieve. And for me to achieve these goals, it's all gas, no brakes.
That all gas, no brakes, I think there's a lot of people in the room here that kind of think, does it have to be all that? And I want to just delve into what your day looks like, because I know you've said to me, it starts, if you didn't have to sleep, I don't think you probably would, but it starts early. Well, in fact, you actually do value the sleep. You value your sleep a lot, but reality is there's a long portion of your day where you're grinding on the business. So what does a day look like for you? When do you get up? When you go to bed? What kind of happens in the middle of the day? Just to give us an understanding from a high performance perspective, because bringing you here, this is the whole thing about bodybuilding and business. I'm still this many years in. I'm not at the level that you're at, but my body and my health doesn't suffer as a result of the business I'm trying to build. So what does a day look like for Kuba?
It's pretty simple. Many people often blame bodybuilding for the lack of commitment, I would say, to the cause, because bodybuilding complements my lifestyle, right? I have to get up at a certain time. And I don't just have to get up at a set time to do my work. I have to get up at a set time to eat, get my cardio in, get my steps in, I'd be able to plan my day. So bodybuilding, I feel like, complements my lifestyle a lot, because I am not only forced, but I'm also held accountable to be able to wake up, get my work done on time, get my meals on time, get my sleep, get my steps in, get my recovery metrics in place. So for me, every single day looks pretty much the same, with variance of probably 15 to 20 minutes if what if happens, right? I eat at the same time every single day. I wake up no later than 6 a.m. every single day. And that's me getting 8.5, 9 hours in bed. And I will be very honest with you, I get 9 hours in bed every single night. No exceptions. Because I need 9 hours in bed for me to be able to perform mentally and physically. Now, what I do is not just physical. What I do, I need to be fresh mentally to be able to deliver. And that is something that's so undervalued. Like, a lot of you will be grinding, but as coaches, if you truly devote 2 hours of your time to just your check-ins, no Instagram, no nothing, and I mean no distractions, trust me, you will be able to do 10 times the work that you already do right now. And that is how I structure my days. I get up, I don't waste time. I wake up and it's go time. I get hydrated. The first 15 minutes, I won't actually start work, but the second I'm out of the house and I'm walking, I am on my phone. I'm already doing replies. So the workday begins. As soon as I get back, I get stuck into the first block of check-ins. First block of check-ins finishes, meal one. Meal one, I go out for a little walk, get my head fresh, get back in, second block of check-ins. Meal two, go out for a little walk, get back in, third block of check-ins. And then whatever overwork I have to do, I always have a little bit of overtime that I need to get done. Rest days, these are normally the days where anything that I need to get done that is outside of client work, that is business, or any other places that I need to devote my time to, that is where normally that time gets allocated to. Now, my check-ins are structured across individual days where I know my heavy check-in days, that's all I do. I don't do anything else. Other days, that's the days for my lectures, where I actually plan the lectures for my clients. And other days, we actually have days where I actually spend time learning, because that is equally as important for me as well. So my whole week, my whole month is structured for content, for my work, for my training, for my meals, for my own education. Every day is the same. I don't have time to go out for friends and have, coffees as much anymore. Don't get me wrong, my friends come and visit me, but that's on my terms. It's not on their terms ever.
Same, yeah.
Because I don't have the time to be able to go on their terms. And that's unfortunate as it is. It's take it or leave it with me right now. And they understand that because their lives are completely different. They have time to be able to say, I can just go and have 2 hours out of my day here. I don't. And they understand that. So they understand now how valuable my time is. Hopefully that makes sense.
No. 100%.
If you want to rewind to anything, you're more than welcome to.
To anybody that's, I know in the early days when my mindset was very much like that, I just focus, get stuff done, and there's not a lot of time for other people. To people that would say that that's a bit over the top, what would your answer to be to people that are a bit over the top? Because there's the high performers that are achieving huge things in their life, and then there's the people that want it, but they think that what it takes is a bit excessive.
Anyone around me that's achieved any level of excellence or success, they are very much the same as me, if not worse. To the point where, again, it's on their terms, not other people's. They have a set structure and schedule in place for that reason. And my business partner, Charles, for example, that's the best example I can give you. His days and weeks are structured to the minute. And he's actually the person that instilled this into me from very, 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 very early on, 2-3 years ago, and said, look, if you have all these tasks to do across the days and weeks, you cannot waste time. You need to have the time to be able to get this done if you want to achieve these goals. And that is applicable for your business and your bodybuilding, because both, I will always say, go hand in hand for me. Now, you can still have relationships with people that mean something to you. This means that my circle is extremely small because I don't have the time to keep people happy. I don't have the time to entertain people. That's not what I do. I still have the relationships that I need to keep me fulfilled. But I don't have relationships with people that don't serve a purpose. And what I mean by serving a purpose is having the friendship and the support that I need from them. And again, it is reciprocated, but it's reciprocated with certain measures in place that are not going to take away from my goals. And they appreciate that. They understand that. But key is communicating that with them. As long as you make it clear, trust me, your friends are going to be pleased for you.
Yeah,
your friends are going to support you. And if your friends are truly your friends or your family, they are not going to hold that against you. They are going to support you no matter what, because if your goals mean something to you, your goals should also mean something to them. If they don't, they have no right to be in your life. These are the people that need to go.
You touched on something a few minutes ago, which puts you in a category unlike a lot of other people, in that you're building the business, but you're also building your brain and your knowledge. When you're talking on camera, and it changes all the time, because your certainty when you create your videos, you know that what I mean. You're speaking at someone in those videos, and you're trying to get a point across, and it becomes more and more authoritative, and the more and more you learn. A lot of coaches just feel as their business starts to grow, they ditch the knowledge side, and it seems like as you're growing, you're becoming more obsessed with the learning side in a very positive way, that you're managing that. Talk to me about the importance of the knowledge of a coach as they continue to build their business. How important it is to you?
Do you want me to tell you the reason why I actually coach, and something I spoke to my wife about the other day?
Please.
I don't need to coach, right? If I didn't want to coach and it gave me no purpose, it gave me no pleasure, I wouldn't do it. The reason why I still coach is because it keeps me fresh with what I do.
Really?
It's constant repetition, it's reps. I'm putting reps in the gym to get better, right? It's repetition. With coaching, it's exactly the same. Mm-hmm. I'm putting reps in with the process of bodybuilding, with many, many different people in many different cases, which is only going to make me better as an athlete. That is the reason why I do it. And the better I become as a coach, the better coach I become, whatever, the better athlete I am as well, and vice versa. Now, I'm obsessed with bodybuilding, and the reason why I can safely say that is because nobody has ever achieved anything in life without being obsessed about it.
No.
You're obsessed in your craft. I can see that through and through. I'm obsessed in my craft. If I'm obsessed with something, I will always have an interest in learning, developing, and getting better. But you need to be obsessed to a degree. And it's got to be a healthy obsession. Don't get me wrong. Like, I have times away. I have days off. I have rest days. Like, post-show, you will see me do funky stuff with Meg. So it's not a case of just being 110% bodybuilding and nothing else. That's not the case. That's what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, if you want to achieve a level of excellence across anything that you do, you need to have a degree of obsession with it. And that obsession is what allows me to continue to develop and learn.
So would I be right in saying, this is fascinating, because when I went deep down the exercise route, one of the big motivators for me down the exercise route was to get my body to look better. And as a result of studying how to train better, and was one of the things I talk about with Ben, and me and him spending so much time together, and he was like, you've got to train like you pose. And I'm like, I pose shit. He goes, you've got to train better. And it was fascinating to me, because then I became more obsessed with exercise. How much has your studies carried over to the physique? I mean, look, we see you're a mountain, but your physique's changing all the time. How much of an impact in the coaching and the knowledge, and which specific parts of your knowledge over the last year have you gained that have given you the biggest advantage to your training and to your clients' progression?
To be honest, I think it's a mixture of it all. I think it's a mixture of programming, it's a mixture of nutrition, and it's tapping into people that are smarter than me. I've worked with Dr. Jackson. I'm still working with JP. I've worked with Jordan Shallows. I've worked with all these guys that have got a very, very, very particular way of doing things, and they have got a huge amount of knowledge that they can add to the arsenal across anything that we do, right? So I think it's a mixture of all, where I'm very fortunate enough to have great people around me, great mentors, that are very, very, very happy to pass down the knowledge at any moment. I'll give you an example, right? If I post a clip on my Instagram, whether it's a training clip or anything that I do with my content, and it's not, it's not polished, I can promise you I will have 2 or 3 people message me in my DM and correct me. And these are the people that I highly value. One of them is Coach Kasim. So for me, when you ask what is it, it's all of it. It's having the right people around me, and it's being able to invest into my education again and be able to do that over and over again and then apply it myself. It all works together.
And there's a degree of it wanting to make sure that you're credible and holding yourself accountable to the likes of Kasim, seeing something and it not being right, and making sure that you have your voice that's aligned to a degree.
Yeah, absolutely. And at times, you want to impress these people. You want these people to almost look at what you're doing and be like, make them quite happy. Yeah. I think that's what drives me a lot as well, is because these people are willing to give up a chunk of their time to help me. Now, it's my duty to be able to actually use that time and give something back in terms of actually learning what the fuck they're talking about, not just wasting the time, which again, sometimes you can help people and, if they're not really interested, they're not gonna take it in, but I'm double interested. If they wanna help me, I'm gonna take it all in, I'm gonna give back.
And I suppose there's I had this for quite a while with the coaches that would teach me, and I go back to Ben again, he taught me a hell of a lot to do with training, and Milos, and I wanted to make sure that I almost proved a point that whatever they were teaching me, I would apply, and I'd be 10x the person that I was when they first started teaching. And I think it's important, you must feel that, where people are sharing what they know, and we almost owe it to them to at least show them what we can do with what we've been gifted with knowledge-wise.
I think you've got to have figures of authority in your life. I have a figure of authority for business, which is Charles. I don't think, there's anyone going to be, there's never going to be anyone that's going to hold me more accountable than he is.
Of course.
Because he's so close to me as well. Now, with bodybuilding, there's Jordan. There's many others. With education side, there's Cass, there's Jordan, there's Baxter, there's yourself. I've got all these people that I can proudly say I've had amazing amount of help from. It's my duty to provide, and it's my duty to actually deliver for these people. And that's what drives me the most as well. I can't let them down as well. Because to me, if I wasn't performing the way I am right now, and if I wasn't trying to achieve excellence, if I wasn't trying to push forward all the time, I would be letting these people down because I would be wasting the valuable time that they've invested into me.
Mm-hmm. The results that you have achieved and the authority that you've gained and the social media exposure that you've gained, what do you think has played the biggest part in the last 5 years of who you've now become in the industry? Because your reputation and what you're continuing to grow into, and the likes of any of the coaches that have got a figure of authority in the fitness industry, anybody in this room, I know that you and I probably in 10 years' time will be saying, I thought they would make it. I thought they would be with a big following, inspiring a lot of people. What are the characteristic traits that you've identified in you that have helped you get to where you are today, or in the last 5 to 10 years, the coaches in this room who have a vision of wanting to build a reputation in the fitness industry, because you've got one? What do you think are the traits that you've applied the most?
It hasn't really been the traits, because the traits I've already had, the discipline and consistency. It's more so the mentors I've had around me and the people I've had around me.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right people holding you accountable, no matter how hard you think you can work yourself, and no matter how hard you think you can challenge yourself and push yourself, you are always going to work harder if you have someone over your shoulder looking at what you're doing and holding you accountable. So for me, it's having the right people in my corner with mentorships, and having the right people in my corner that I can book a call with and tell me that I'm doing something stupid or not, like you did. And I really appreciated that, because I probably wouldn't be where I am right now if you didn't do that. So for me, the key factors that come into play, right? You need to be obsessed with your craft. I am obsessed with my craft. But what has been the biggest change in the past 5 years is having the right influence and having the right mentors around me. That has been priceless. So I think having the right people around you that you can learn from and that will push you to be better, and then obviously creating your own environment as well with the people around you, I think that plays a pivotal role. Now, in 2017, that was a turning point year for me, where I cut the people out that needed to go, and I invested into people that I needed to invest into.
I touched on this morning, and I said, when you're, who do you need to become to get to where you need to be? But you also have to expect to either move places or remove people. How hard was removing people? There's going to be a lot of people in the room here right now that know they've not got the right people around them, the right network or the right places. But I've done this, and it's a thing that I notice in success. They're prepared at some point to move on. How did you deal with the moving on of networks, people, places?
It was a massive relief. It allowed me to focus tenfold on what I needed to focus on. So it wasn't a case of dealing with it, it's a case of doing it. Once I did it, it was a massive relief. I was able to really, really own in on what I needed to own in on.
What stopped you doing it up till that point that you did?
Not having the right people around me, not having the mentors around me.
Right.
And the turning point was many, many things, right? Well, my life could have gone in that direction and that direction. And it could have gone down a very different path to what I'm on right now. And I came to a realization, what is it that I truly want? Is it this, or is it this kind of life, or this kind of life? And when I made the right decision, it wasn't hard to cut these people out. It wasn't hard to invest into the right people.
I appreciate that. Now, I don't want to miss this subject today, because one of the things that I don't want our business events to be is just business, just business, just business. I want our events to also cover coaching. And I respect you immensely for the results you achieve, the standards that you hold. And I want our coaching program and my influence, as you see with some of my content, to not miss, as you said, you've got to be a great coach. What is it that gets great results with clients? What is your formula that you could share with everybody in here that either gets people to expect more of themselves or actually gets that top end transformation?
First and foremost, you have to lead from the front. You have to. You absolutely have to. If you are not able to do what you require your clients to do yourself, I don't think you've truly earned that right to a degree. I truly believe that, and I truly stand for that. Now, secondly, I'm not just a coach. I don't just want to be a coach. I'm an athlete first and foremost. Bodybuilding is what makes me happy. Bodybuilding is what drives me forward. Now, being a better bodybuilder and my own progress is what allows me to stay motivated to coach and deliver a higher quality service. Now, results will come if you have the knowledge. If you gain experience with the knowledge, more results will come, because you will be able to see the things that others don't, because you've done it yourself over and over again. And you continue to do it yourself and with your clients over and over again, and you are open to ideas and you are open to learning new things. So the most important thing that you want to focus on as a coach, if you truly want to be a great coach, is not just coaching. You need to invest into the things that will make you a better coach, and that is learning on the craft that you need. Now, if you're a coach and you want to work with bodybuilders, you need to be a bodybuilder, and you need to learn about the bodybuilding and all it takes. And that means drugs, nutrition, recovery, all the works. Now, training is going to be the most important variable for, regardless of what coaching service you provide, you need to learn about training. If you do not learn the fundamentals, you're not gonna be able to learn the advanced stuff. So you need to start from bottom up. And that's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be a shortcut where you can do that in 3 months. It takes years and years to actually learn to a degree where I believe you can deliver a high quality service as well. And where you can actually get results. Because anyone now can get one of these coaches that provides you with a system to sell, provides you with all these tools to be able to fine stream your work and make things easy for you. But no coach really, apart from yourself, I have seen push the mentees onto actually learning how to get better and learning the craft and being open and honest with them, like you always say. If you want to be a great coach, you need to learn how to be a great coach, not just through sales. You need to learn through application and some sort of studies as well.
Well, it's funny you say that, because, you know, something that I just never want to leave out from any level of business discussion is it's damn sight easier to market a business off the back of results than it is to force a sale 24/7 and be on fulfill, where you just push. Your results, for me, do the talking at the forefront of this, right? Absolutely.
So I transitioned into coaching full-time online when I was 23. I'm 28 now, 29 in this month. And I got very busy as a PT and a coach from the age of 21. And what actually got me there was winning the universe, winning the junior universe. Once I was able to show the results that I can produce for myself and the results I was already producing with clients, you believe me, I was getting people in left, right, and center. For coaching, for one-to-one PTing, people wanted to work with me because they saw what I was capable of, with my own physique and others. So if you don't have results to show, you are gonna struggle. And it was extremely easy to get started. I prepped my first client, which was one of my best friends, when I was 17 for a show. So as you can imagine, it all started with friends, right? We all trained together. They was all pretty out of shape. They wanted to get in shape. I helped them get in shape. Put the pictures side to side, post them. Next thing you know, I've got people messaging me. Can you do that with me? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There's the price tag. Take it or leave it. Let's go. And it built on from then. It was not a painful process. It was almost a process where I got to a point where I was working in nightclub security, right? So I started when I was 18 because, you know, PTing wasn't really taking off that much yet. And I always said, I want to live a life where I don't have to worry about bodybuilding expense. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes so I can bodybuild with no stress. That's how it needs to be, right? Because I couldn't rely on mum and dad. Mum and dad, you know, I come from a very poor background, so I need to work for myself. Now, as soon as I won the title in 2021, when I was 21, in 2015, that is when the coaching really took off, because I was able to really show a substantial result of myself and really bring a great package.
The business side and bodybuilding and how that's impacted your drive professionally wise, and I always like to talk to any, you're making good money and the business is bringing in good money. The carryover from your bodybuilding, the discipline, into the business aspect, is business something that your bodybuilding is your number one passion, you're studying, your coaching is something that you do alongside that? Where has this drive from a business perspective come from? Because I know obviously with the bodybuilding side of it, but talk me through the business growth that you've had and where that drive comes from.
How you do anything is how you do everything, right? So it applies the same in business for me. Now, my dream was to always win the junior universe and open a gym. I won the universe in 2015, then the gym opened in 2017, right? Now, from then on, it was never a case of me thinking, this is what I want to earn, or having figures in place like these people do these days. That was never the case. I never once even thought about that. The only thing I focused on is me being a better athlete, a better gym owner, and a better coach. I never once focus on what I need to do to earn more money. That was never at the forefront of my mind, and it's not right now. Because to me, that's still relevant. Like, I don't need much to live. My only concern right now is, how much can I invest into things? That's literally my only concern right now. But it's still not the driving force of, this is what I need to do to earn this much money. It's more of a case of, what do I need to do to become the person that I wish to be? And that I know, when I become the person that I wish to be, and I continue to drive to be that person, the money is a byproduct of that.
What person are you trying to become?
Well, that's on my whiteboard. My wife's got that.
In terms of your own goals further forward, professional bodybuilding, the business, and the goals that you have, very little of that's financially driven?
None of it's financially driven. Do we have anything about finances on the whiteboard? But we have got a lot of goals on this whiteboard. Don't get me wrong, some of these goals, you need...
Align with money to have the goal.
Yeah, because you can't achieve that goal if it's not financed. But there's not a single thing on the goal whiteboard that actually has a monetary figure in place. Not a single word about it.
So this is interesting, right? Because everybody's different. Your board, and I talk about either vision boards or writing a vision out and discussions. You two clearly talk about what you're trying to achieve. Just share with everybody, for everything that you talk about achieving and everything that clearly is coming true, if you didn't have those goals ahead of you, is it likely that they would actually materialize?
Absolutely not. Now, a couple of my clients sat here. We've got timelines for a reason, right? If you want to achieve a certain goal, you need a roadmap towards it. If you don't have any goal set in place, you're not going to have a vision. If you don't have a vision, you're not going to be driven. You need to be driven to achieve certain goals. Now, me and my wife will sit down every year and we will write out these goals. Once these goals are written out, they're still there, but we don't just talk about the goals. That does not matter. What happens then is we get to work to achieve these goals, but this is where we create that roadmap towards them. This is what we need to do to achieve this. This is the goal, now let's get on with it.
So you're creating, this is where your aggression comes from, because you're clearly putting big goals that you really can't skip a beat if they've got a chance of coming to reality. And that intensity that you have about every single day is there either not necessarily a rush, but the obsession to make these things happen is very, very clear, right?
You've got to create an urgency to progress, an urgency to take action. If you don't have that urgency, you're just plodding along. I don't want to plod along.
And my question to you, and I am prodding this a little bit because I just want to find out, what drives your urgency? Because what's fascinating, and I've seen this with so many entrepreneurs, my urgency is to provide the life that we've written down for me and my wife, and the impact that I can have for coaches, as many all over the world. There's two things that drive me, and it's born out of a lack of significance for me when I was younger, right? And I won't stop. And what I'm encouraging everybody, and I do here, is to find your significance, find your thing, because there's a driver in you that just keeps pushing the goalposts, and it keeps pushing and pushing.
There's a couple of things that drives me and that creates the urgency. First is bodybuilding. That's always going to be the main fueling factor, right? Because you know what it's like when you see your body change, when you see improvements year to year, right?
Yeah.
There's no better sense of accomplishment. You cannot buy a good physique. You cannot buy a contest prep. You need to do it. It's earned, not given. Results in the gym are earned. There's no monetary figure that can give you that. You can take all the drugs you want. If you're not putting the work in, it's not going to happen. Now, the second sense of urgency is created through where I have come from and what I have become from the person that I was. And what I mean by that is, when I came to England at 11 years old, right, my family was poor. My dad worked in a steelworks working 12-hour shifts for like £5 an hour, welding and fabricating. And as you can imagine, you know, other guys were getting paid a lot more, but, you know, he was Polish, blah, 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 whatever. Nobody cares, but I knew that if I want to achieve something in life, I will need to do that myself. From a very early age, from a very young age, I was never like my dad or my brother or anyone in my family. I was never comfortable just getting by. I always found a way to be able to hustle and be able to progress and be able to get what I want. They never had that in them, none of them. Now, my biggest fear coming out of school was that I wasn't wearing the school uniform anymore and I had to actually get some clothes, right? So I had to work in a car wash to get those clothes. Then I got a job at the gym. Got a job at the gym, then I got PTing. Then I worked in a call center whilst I PT'd, and then stopped the call center, turned 18, started working in a nightclub. Again, PTing during the day, working in a nightclub. Now, I know what I'm capable of. I know the person that I was, and I know the person that I am right now, and I know the person that I can become if I continue. That is what creates the urgency. I know I can achieve anything that I wish, and I will do it because of where I've come from.
Is the urgency to prove a point to you?
In a way, yeah.
I wanted to get there, and the reason being, when I meet so many entrepreneurs, there is a point that drives it, that doesn't make it an unhealthy obsession, because as you said, and I completely agree with you, alcoholics are obsessed with alcohol. You know, other people with different jobs are there's an obsession for everyone.
It's funny you say that because probably my entire family are alcoholics, so that's probably what it's from.
Yeah, well,
I've got the same passion for something else.
But we all put absolutely everything that we have into the thing that we value the highest, and where we need to potentially prove the most to ourselves. And something we talk about here is actually going inside yourself and starting to ask yourself the question, what's going to create, because I'm sure you'll agree with me, when you speak with so much passion to make things happen, and they keep happening, and you keep visualizing, and you keep putting them on board, and they keep happening, and then there's a lot of people that are like, why is stuff not happening? There's no urgency. There's not a lot of urgency for a lot of people, hence why there's a drifting or a lack of progression. What would you say to somebody who lacks that drive but desperately does want it, says they want it?
Now, I'm probably going to sound like a little bit of a dickhead here, because if you truly want it, you are going to find that urgency. You need to have a serious conversation with yourself and, one, write down your goals. Two, look at these goals and say, do you really want this? If you, I honestly believe, if you truly believe that you want something, you will be prepared to do anything it takes to achieve that, to a degree, reasonably. And that's true. Why? I've done it myself, and I've seen many, many people do it. Now, anyone can say they want something, right? That's just words. Words mean absolutely nothing. You need to take ownership and take them words into action. If you don't, it's always just going to be, this is what I want to do, but just never making it happen. Now, the worst thing for me in life is to get by, get to an age of 40, get to an age of 50, get past it, get to old and past it, and look back at my life and think, I could have achieved this if I worked out a little bit harder. I could have done this if maybe I did something different. That's probably the worst thing you can do. I don't want to be like some of the people I was brought up around and achieve nothing in life and get to a place where they're just happy living a mediocre life and just getting by.
How do you're talking about the not wanting a mediocre life, and this is something I touched on in part of my presentation, and I'd love to know your insights into this because I know you take it seriously. At this level, you guys are going to be running busy businesses. Hopefully, you're going to be training at the highest level. How do you manage your recovery? What is your recovery strategy? This is quite selfish for me as well, because it's a fascination for me. Training at the highest level, operating at the highest level of business, managing a relationship, managing everything that you've got, but you're getting that quality sleep. What are the other recovery measures? Because I still feel that everybody in the room here, you're all high performers. And if we're operating at high performance, we need high performance nutrition, high performance training, high performance recovery. What is your recovery strategy? Supplements, cold therapy, whatever you're doing. Give us an insight into what you do.
I have done cold therapy. It's decent. It'll make you feel good for an hour or two, but it's not truly a game changer. Now, I've got set work times, right? They're non-negotiable. Everything I do is non-negotiable. Meal timing, I will eat no matter what. If it's my time to eat, I will eat. Don't care what it is, don't care what we do, right? My sleep time, I get 9 hours every bed. No matter what, I will get 9 hours in bed. Now, we're getting trained straight back from here. I actually have my physiotherapist coming at 6 a.m. to my house, but I can promise you, I'm gonna be in bed before 9 o'clock and I will get my 9 hours. And he will wake me up. I will not get up before that. I don't miss a meal. I cannot tell you right now, I cannot tell you a day in the past 10 years, and that's legit in the last 10 years where I've missed a meal. I have not. I've been to raves before with literally a chicken shake stuffed down my pants. I have not, and when I tell you, I have not missed a meal in 10 years, I have not missed a meal in 10 years. Now, every night when it gets to 7 p.m., and that is there's been some leeway at times when things have got busier, but 7 p.m., right? An hour and a half, we have no phones. She's got a little Kindle that she reads with, but I don't actually go on my phone at all. Both phones get chucked to the other side of the sofa, and they do not get touched. So that is my time where I mentally decompress and have some relaxation time. Now, every rest day, I have tissue work. Every rest day, 15 minutes in sauna, that's non-negotiable. The cold therapy, you can do it, yes, it'll make you feel all right, but to be honest, if you want heart health and if you want the true benefits, I think sauna's far more beneficial. It really is. Now,
infrared sauna?
Yeah. I've got one in the house, in the garage, little one, man. And that gets done every single rest day. So it's putting these principles in place and then making sure that I do take the deloads when I need them. Because when I get to a point where I'm really, really starting to get cranky, she will know and she will tell me like, look, it's time to deload. And it's not just a case of getting by. I'm literally at a point now where I like to redline things. So deload's over, I'm redlining the training and I'm redlining the work. And I will continue until I need a deload, reset, and then go again. It's very, very simple strategies that we use in bodybuilding that work hand in hand with your mental performance as well. Because the fatigue that will build up, it's not just physical, it's also mental. Mm-hmm. Now, there's things that you can put in place daily that will help you with the mental fatigue that directly will improve physical fatigue as well. Mm-hmm. So you need to allocate certain times in a day where you either work or you don't fucking work. Because I've seen way too many people try 10 minutes, do a bit of work, then chill time, go on the phone, relax. And it's like, it's a lot of clients that I speak to that you know, often don't achieve the results that I know they could because they toss it off half the day and they're trying to play catch up later on at night. At night time, one, you're so unproductive. Two, your body's already gonna be tired. That is your time to take ideal opportunity to relax and unwind. That's your recovery time, both mental and physical. Now, secondly, a big thing that I think many bodybuilders get wrong is I don't perma bulk, ever. I will get to a point in my off season where I will push my body weight up to a point where it literally sucks dick every single day. And I mean, it's hard every single day, right? But I'm still at a point where I get my shit done no matter what. It's just gonna be a lot harder. Now, what you have to understand is, when you get to that point, you're not in an environment to build muscle anymore. But secondly, you are already in a place where, I like to call it, you're literally mentally cabbaged, where your mental capacity to work and be creative is diminishing.
The more you push.
Yeah, because you're just getting fatter. The fatter you are, the more sluggish you are.
Yeah.
And no offense to anyone that's fat here, but you will all relate to this, that any of you guys that have been heavy in the off season, right? It's not the same as it is when you get leaner. So it's a win-win for me because I get to a point where I need a diet because I need to be a better bodybuilder, but I also need a diet
to be better,
to get back on top. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not just a case of what do you do for recovery, it's a case of looking at a bigger picture of what I do year around. And like I say to you, I've listened to your podcast the other day about what you do to kind of keep on top of things right now, to kind of perform at your highest level, right? Now, for me, priority is still being the best bodybuilder I can be.
Yeah.
But that also allows me to be the best that I can be in business. Like, I am not at a point now where I'm having to coach so much where I need to take a step back because I'm coaching all day. That's not the case, and I would never want to do that because it would not allow me to bring a high level of quality service. It would not, because I would be mentally zapped. And you know yourself what it's like with coaching. You've coached before, and there's only so much hours you've got in the day of that mental capacity to be able to process that information and be able to relay the feedback, right? That works perfectly for me right now because that allows me to get my blocks of work in and still be able to do what I need to do to be able to excel in bodybuilding. But if I skip a beat or if I miss across any of the variables that I have right now, with my meal timing, with my structure, with my daily routine, I'm not only gonna be a worse bodybuilder, but my business will slip.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
So your whole recovery strategy is an annual strategy, as opposed to just that individual, what do you do post-training, or
It's all of it, man.
it's the whole thing, it's the whole picture, rather than just an individual snapshot of what do you do for this.
It's all of it.
It's a whole 365 thing. I don't want to give you guys the opportunity to miss out on asking Kuba any questions, because, you know, he's been there, done it, and doing it with athletes competitively, IFBB Pro, you know, and I want to give you guys the opportunity to ask Kuba any questions. So if there are any, please put your hands up, and Jake, fire away.
So you have well-diversified business interests. What's the mistake you made, specifically when scaling or diversifying, that you learned from?
Amazing question. Don't blindly trust people. It's cost me a lot. So whatever you do, make sure you get into business with people that you've got a good feeling about, and if you are going to get into business with people, make sure you take advice from people that will allow you to get the process to the point where it's completely bulletproof. I'll give you an example, right? I've just got into a partnership with Nitron. Now, before that deal got done, I had 3 people going over the whole deal with literally a tooth comb to make sure that nothing out of that deal could go south for both me and Tom. And again, it's working in my best interest and his, right? So don't blindly trust people, because trust me, when it comes to business, people are savage. People will not think twice about fucking you over, and that is a fact.
Next question.
Probably not what you expected.
No, perfect, man.
You talked about education and that you had more than one mentors. Would you recommend for us coaches You have like Baxter for biomechanics, Dr. Jackson for nutrition, Mark for business, another one to mental coach. Or do you think that's too much, too overwhelming, or do you think like one at a time focus on nutrition, one at a time focus on biomechanics?
So, I didn't work with all these guys at once, right? You can be a jack of all trades or a master of none. I think that's the saying. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to focus on one thing at a time. If you want to achieve excellence in business, you need to be all in with this. Now, one thing I've always done is, if I'm going to commit to try and learn something, that's what I'm committing to. I'm not going to try and do 3 different things at the same time because I don't have the mental capacity to do that. Like, mate, I don't have any educational background. When I was going to school, I was going training with my school uniform on in the gym. Like, I will tell you straight, if I don't have an interest in something, I have no desire to learn it. So I wasn't great at school. I'd still got decent grades, but I just was never there because I wasn't interested. So one best piece of advice I can give you is go all in at one thing at a time. Because if you try and do all these 3-4 things, I can promise you, you're never going to be able to actually soak all the information in and be able to apply it more importantly.
Next question. Big fan.
I know you're not the most emotional of people, but with you having lots going on, how do you find you separate emotion from everything else?
Give me an example. Just so I can give you more of an accurate answer. Or if you want to use a couple examples, I'm more than happy to do that. Business or personal relationship? Business, yeah? Sometimes if you get emotional about something yourself, is that what you're referring to, right? So if you're emotional about something yourself, the last thing you want to do is speak to a client. You never want to give an emotional response because I've done that before myself and it's a massive mistake. What you want to do is do not reply to that client, go and speak to your partner, go and speak to your mentor, run it by them first, and then go back to it. Do not make an emotional decision. The best thing I've learned from the mentors that I've had around me and the people I've had around me is do not ever try to make emotional decisions there and then. Breathe, take time, think, decompress a little bit, and then get back to it. Especially if it's something that's driving that emotions higher, you never want to show emotions, or you never want to come across emotional because your client will feel that.
Second question, do you think Mark should come out of retirement and take me on in Masters?
Absolutely. Well, you're going to be absolutely peeled, so it's whether Mark can...
Yeah, you're going to be peeled, and you've been doing it a little... I've come off the tools a little bit. Might be able to put a little bit of... what's that? No, Marsh, no, I won't. I'm not going back. It does go through my brain, so...
Divorce papers on the table.
Next question. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the talk. You mentioned earlier regarding the recovery, like the non-negotiable things for you, sleep, time, and meal timing as well, and the so on. So, and also you mentioned taking deloads when you feel like you need them. So, we got just in line with businesses and your performance in business. Do you feel like sometimes you need to deload as well regarding the same what you do with your training?
Yeah, absolutely. I think. I do think that, and what helps me is having set work times. As a coach, it's very easy to just work in like little stints and work all day. So I can promise you, a lot of you guys speaking to me right now, you probably sometimes feel like you can work all day, right? Yeah? You feel like you work all day? Well, you shouldn't. Because if you feel like you work all day, I can promise you the quality of your service and your delivery is not going to be the best last thing at night. You need to have quality of service where you know you can get to your client fresh. And I can promise you, right, if your client messages you, unless they're competing, if someone's competing, you need to be available, doesn't matter what time it is, but you're available to them, not all your other clients at the same time as well, right? I can promise you, if your client messages you at 6 o'clock at night, what is it that they could possibly want at 6 o'clock at night, unless they are competing, that cannot wait for you to reply at 5, 6 in the morning? Can you tell me? If it's something silly, can it not wait till the next day? See, you don't have to work all the day. Don't be one of the coaches that prides themselves on constantly grinding, bro, because that's just dumb. And I will say that it's dumb because it's something I've done before and it completely drained me. Now, when I get in my office or when I pick my work phone up, I'm on it, right? But when I'm away from it, I'm away from it. And don't be afraid to do that either. Your clients will appreciate that, trust me.
The answer was, get a bat phone. Go on.
So that's something I'm currently struggling with. I could be completely vulnerable. I will literally get up and do my first client at 5 and I will just basically make myself available the whole time, and I am completely burning out. But when I'm not doing it, I literally like get the urge to reply. Like I literally can't stop myself from doing it. So how do you stop yourself from like...
I got it. Even though she says she's not going to reply, she still has the urge to reply, and that's the thing that's just...
Honestly, I get that, because it probably took me a year to kind of settle with that urge, right? I literally put my phone in the other room. So some days, when I know that urge is going to be high, I will leave my phone in my office upstairs, and that's it, it's locked away. Because one thing I realize is, you might have an urge to reply to that client, but then what if your other client messaged you with something that will require some higher attention, and then you reply to it in even a wrong tone of voice? Trust me, it's not going to be received very, very well at all. You need that time where you're getting fresh mentally. And getting fresh mentally as well is going to allow you to get up and be happy to work. Like, coaching for me, right? I wake up and I'm happy to do it. If I ever get to a point where I'm miserable doing check-ins or miserable talking to my clients, I know something's wrong. You should never feel like that. You should feel happy to do it. Like, you should feel inspired to wake up every day and get shit done. If you don't feel like that, you're probably trying to overdo it.
I know I do, but I just feel bad when I can't reply straight away. Like I feel guilty.
See, don't, because there's probably people that are going waiting 3-4 days for replies from the coaches. Right? As long as you are replying in due course, it's good. Trust me. Like, they're not going to feel bad just because you didn't reply at 6 p.m. and you replied at 5 a.m. instead. I promise you. And you can always say, sorry, but I was, getting ready for bed, so I'm just getting back to you now. Hope that's okay. And then they can tell you if that's okay or not. If they tell you that's okay, are you going to feel better about it? Yeah? Might want to do that.
And just to add to that for you as well, you're breeding neediness. And when you breed neediness, you never escape it.
Very true. Extremely true.
Yeah. Oh, I need to reply to you. Great. What happens at 10 o'clock? Forgot to ask you this question. Oh, God, they've replied again. You created that. Just remember. So you're actually helping them by not replying. Another question? Yep.
Big thank you. One question regarding your bodybuilding perspective. A lot of bodybuilders live a totally different life to what you do. They don't seem to be as busy or as business focused. Would you say there's a right and a wrong way to do it, or is it just a personality dependent?
There is a right and a wrong way to do it. It's the reason why I'm so comfortable being almost ingrained into something else is because I want bodybuilding to be special. If bodybuilding is all I had, it wouldn't be so special. So for me, I need other things to focus on as well. And unfortunately, as a bodybuilder, there's not really that many things that I can focus on apart from sitting on my arse. Right?
Can I elaborate on that?
Yeah.
Would you say in theory you could be a better bodybuilder if you didn't need to do anything else?
I'd be a worse bodybuilder. Because my schedule would be terrible. Trust me. When I wasn't as busy as I am right now, trust me, I wasn't a great bodybuilder either. Yeah? So, again, what I mentioned earlier is they both go hand in hand for me, because business forces me not to ever miss with my recovery and nutrition and my training times, right? A bodybuilder that's just got bodybuilding, I'm like, oh, today I'll just train at 5 o'clock. Oh, I'll eat that a bit later. I'll go to bed a bit later. I'll get up a bit later. And that just turns into a week of complete, utter garbage.
And you think that's reflective of how their physique looks as well, right?
Absolutely. I have never had a prep once now, since probably 2014, where I felt like death or I struggled. I only struggled then because the lack of knowledge was there, and I was extremely fat before prep. But realistically, if you have all your affairs in order, you should thrive in prep, even a week out. If you don't, you need to address whatever you're doing because you're doing it wrong.
Great answer. Anybody else? Any other questions? Have anything? Yep, there's one. Aaron.
Obviously yourself and Meg are incredibly driven, incredibly busy and extremely regimented as well. Just wondering, like, obviously you've got a lot of different business, like avenues of business with the gym, with bodybuilding coaching, and then the obviously housing, I think you said. Like, what are the biggest challenges you face in the relationship? I know you have that downtime at 7 p.m, but what are the biggest challenges you face in the relationship, and how do you then potentially overcome them?
It's probably a question for Meg, mate, because I'm a very hard person to be with, to be honest, mate. I really am. So it's the biggest challenges for me. I need to constantly check on myself with the way I am. But that's not so much to do with bodybuilding or business. That's just more so to do with my personality and just the way I am. I need to constantly check on myself, keep myself in check, because it's when you're so driven across all areas, I think it can spill over into certain areas where sometimes you can be not a very nice person in certain situations. I'm never nasty with it, but it's just, I can be very cold and I can be a bit of a dick sometimes in many, many different things. So it's just more so checking yourself and keeping yourself accountable and keeping yourself accountable to others. If you're acting up, you need to get that rein back in. So I think that's the biggest hurdle, but the biggest hurdles are really for her to deal with me, to be honest.
Would you say that the majority of the time, and I witnessed this with so many entrepreneurial people, is you're so deeply ingrained and inspired with the mission that sometimes you forget what's on the periphery that's just as important, but maybe not as important as the primary target at that time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes you can get in that almost like tunnel vision where, you know, and don't get me wrong, it comes in waves and it goes up and down, where some weeks and some months and some even years you can be in that, you know, that zone, and then you kind of snap out of it for a little while, and then you kind of get back into like almost like a level of normality where you can pull yourself out of that. But yeah, I definitely agree. It's a hard thing to manage, to be honest. It is for me anyway.
With everybody you've met, top bodybuilders, top businessmen, top athletes across any arena, coming from your boxing background, my final thing to you, which is, I asked Tefik this question when he was just talking about excellence and what he's picked up. With everybody that you've met, what are the common traits of the people at the highest level, whether it's bodybuilding, business, that you've met, that you see in people similar to you? And I know you're unique.
They're absolutely relentless in the pursuit. Like, there's nothing that could get in the way of their goals. And nothing ever will, I don't think. And that is common amongst, the people that I'm closest to as well. It's like, if they've got their eye on something and they've set a goal, that they are committing to that no matter what. And no little thing could pop up and derail them. I think people that are not that way inclined, it's so extremely easy for little things to derail them from the plan. Don't get me wrong, like, I'll get stressed over the tiny, like pathetic little things. And that's probably my worst trait, is how stressed I can get over stupid stuff, right? But that's because I care, and I care deeply about everything that I do, right? If I didn't care, I wouldn't get stressed about the little things. But the little things matter. That's why they get so much, they get real in my nerves, right? Mm-hmm. It's a good thing and a bad thing, right? But the same trait that I see with them all is, no matter what happens, no matter what could pop up, like nothing could ever derail them. It's that mission is on, and we'll do whatever it takes to get there, no matter what.
Phenomenal. Well, guys, firstly, before I wrap up, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you I know
Thank you.
you're going to be down, and I tried to find Jordan when he came last time, when he left, and I ran down the stairs. I was like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going. And so I'll grab you before you go, because Jordan took 2 minutes, and he literally got off the stage. I thought, he must be going to the loo, and he wasn't, he was going. You're very, very similar, so I bet you the train's in 3 minutes.
He actually told me that. It was like, I was in and out, bud, trust me. I couldn't wait. It was amazing, but I loved it, but I needed to get back to eat.
Yeah, he just got out. And I did actually say this to Jordan with the last one. I don't know whether I told you this. I messaged him, and I said, this was classic Jordan. I said, hey, bud, I did him a voice note. I said, hey, bud, listen, I've got an event in London in March. I would absolutely love you to come. But before you answer this, I'll send a driver, I'll send the food, I'll pick you up, and I'll take you back. Try and say no. And he went, you bastard. I said, good man. So I didn't have to do that with you, but Jordan did make his way. And similarly with yourselves, I know you're so focused, and I'm just grateful that you're here.
I've got Meg, so that's my entourage. She gets me about.
Entourage. She just moves them around. When he said that Corin
Taxi's
wasn't
there, time's there, go.
When he said that Corin wasn't coming, I went, oh Christ, is that him still coming? Because I knew that if Corin wasn't coming, he wouldn't make it, but he did. And I thought, well, he'll probably get lost. But guys, thank you. I really appreciate this, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.